Gamers, how are we all doing today? My name is Carlaby, welcome to the channel. I'm flying in hot with another PvP build video for you, and I'm super excited about this one. Today I'll be talking about the Stamina Sorcerer Werewolf build. That's right, Werewolf is back, thanks to one tiny little mythic item. It's been a long time since I played Werewolf in PvP and I forgot how fun it can be. Werewolf is designed to jump right into the middle of things, causing panic and terror, so I've built into that with a huge health pool with lots of survivability and a huge burst potential. So let's stop wasting time and get right into it. Okay, so we have a Stamina Sorcerer Werewolf build for you today. First off, let's look at the stat sheet. We've got 5.2k weapon damage, nice penetration, 6.3k, pretty high resistances at 26, 27k, but the huge health pool, 43k, is definitely going to keep us alive. Recoveries are okay. 1.3k stamina recovery. You will need to weave in a couple of heavy attacks, but that's no big deal. You're more than survivable enough to be able to do that. So let's look at the consumables. First off, the race. We are an orc, which is going to give us extra stamina, extra health, and when you deal damage, you heal every 4 seconds, and increased movement speed and weapon damage whilst you're sprinting. The potions we are using are immovable potions and major expedition and stamina with major endurance. I like the movement speed on Werewolf, it's very nice to have. And the Munder stone we're using is the Lady for some extra resistances. Okay, so let's talk about the gear sets. First things first, let's talk about the mythic Oaken Soul Ring. It's a nightmare to get, especially being brand new with the new patch. Some of the leads are an absolute nightmare, but if you can get it, what it does is, while equipped, you are unable to swap between your primary and backup weapon sets, but you gain major berserk, major courage, major brutality, major sorcery, major prophecy, major savagery, major force, major protection, major resolve, minor fortitude, intellect, endurance, and major heroism. That is a huge stack of buffs which saves you on so many skills that you would need to buff up with. And of course, if you're a werewolf, you don't need to weapon swap anyway. So as you can see, they're all active at all times, no matter what. The best ones, I would say, Major Courage, increasing weapon and spell damage by a huge amount, and Major Berserk, extra 10% damage across the board. It's a great set to have for Werewolf. Some of them you do get from the Werewolf skills anyway, but overall, I still think it's worth it. Again, because we're running the one mythic, that gives us space for 2 5-piece sets. And the first one we're using is Clever Alchemist, which we're using for 2 reasons. The first is the 5-piece, of course, giving you a rush of energy for 675 weapon and spell damage for 20 seconds. That is a huge amount of damage, easy to control because you just use your potion, and it can give you some insane burst. And the other reason we need it is for the max health. It gives us lots of health. We want a lot of health on a werewolf because of one of the werewolf skills. I'll talk about that later. But we got this on the helm, chest, belt, feet, and legs. And I've gone for 5 heavy, mainly just for survivability. If you feel like you don't need it, switch a couple to medium, which is easy to do because, you know, it's a craftable set, so you can make a couple medium. You can keep the big pieces in heavy and maybe go medium on the small pieces. I just like to, you know, be able to take a bit more damage. And the second set we're running is Plague Break, which of course is still incredibly good this patch. If you don't know, it gives you penetration, damage, and when in dealing direct damage to an enemy who is not a plague carrier, it turns them into a plague carrier for 10 seconds, dealing a huge amount of disease damage over duration. If the plague is removed early by a cleanse or something like that, it explodes and it gets a lot of people. And also if you kill people, that's also it being removed early, so it explodes when you kill people. The explosion deals an additional 50% damage per enemy hit. This effect can occur once per attack and scales off your high of your weapon and spell damage. And we're going to get a lot of weapon and spell damage, so this is going to hit very hard. So I've got this on a sword and a mace, 1 non-honed, 1 sharpened. You probably could go 2 sharpened here, to be honest. Don't think it would make much of a difference. The necklace, the ring, and 1 body piece. the hands medium. And the last one we're running is a light shoulder of Magma Incarnate for the recovery. It's good to have recovery, magical recovery on a werewolf as well. We do have a bow in the back bar. It's irrelevant. We can't weapon swap anyway, so you don't even really need to have anything there. For the jewelry, we've gone 2 robust for the extra stamina and 1 infused for Magicka recovery enchant. Your heal as a werewolf costs Magicka, and that's the only Magicka skill you have, so you don't want to run out of Magicka just for the heal. And 2 stamina recovery as well. It's overall we're going 5 heavy, 1 medium, 1 light, and 3 reinforced on the big pieces, just for the extra resistances, 3 impen, and 1 well fitted if we ever need to dodge roll. So again, you can play around with these if you feel like you don't need the extra reinforced. You could change them to something else, maybe divines, or some more well fitted. And the enchants I'm going for is max health pretty much across the board except for 2 max stamina. Again, the more health you have on a werewolf, the better. So let's talk about the skills. So when you're not a werewolf, this is pretty much personal preference, because the way you're going to play this is safe. Pretty much, you're going to play it safe. If you're running around a keep, you just want to farm that ultimate. So I've got a couple of damaging skills on here to, you know, defend myself and get away if I need to. But it's all about building that ultimate so you can get into werewolf form. So I've got Whirling Blades, which does damage in the AoE. Race Against Time. This keeps me alive a lot by increasing my movement speed and removing snares and immobilizations. Streak, very good at getting yourself away from people as well. This I either usually run Dark Deal or Vigor. Again, personal preference. And then Crystal Weapon if I ever do need to burst somebody down. But most importantly, let's talk about the werewolf skills. So we're going to be able to stay in werewolf form for a very long time, which is why this isn't really that important. Because if you're in a giant fight and you're constantly attacking people, dealing damage, devouring corpses, you're going to stay in werewolf pretty much the entire time. So let's have a look at what we're running. I've gone for the Pack Leader Ultimate, which transforms into a beast fearing nearby enemies for 3 seconds. While transformed, your maximum stamina is increased by 30%. You take 10% less damage and you summon 2 direwolves, which are very handy. They're very good to hide behind. Also grant yourself and nearby allies minor courage, increasing weapon and spell damage by 215. Minor courage is great because we do have the major courage from Oaken Soul, so it's an extra 430 weapon damage there, and an extra 215 there. So that's an extra 600 weapon damage on top of the 600 we get from Clever Alchemist. That's a lot of extra weapon damage. While slotted, your stamina recovery is increased by 15%. So that's a flat 15% stamina recovery as well, which is very nice. We've gone with Brutal Pounce. Pounce on an enemy with Primal Fury, dealing bleed damage to them and to other nearby enemies. Activating this ability again within the next 5 seconds causes you to cast Brutal Carnage, which deals bleed damage over 10 seconds and up to 450% more damage to enemies under 100% health. So it kind of works like an execute, and it increases weapon and spell damage again for the amount of enemies you hit, up to 6. So if you can hit 6 of them, you know, that's 500 to 600 weapon damage on top. Again, can't go wrong with that much weapon damage. So this skill here, Hircine's Fortitude. This is what we do to keep ourselves alive. This is why we have so much health. Invoke the Hunter's Blessing, healing you for a huge 24k health. The portion of this ability scales off your max health, which is why we spec so much into health. It's our only magical ability, it's pretty much our only heal ability. And if you are at full health, you instead restore 3000 stamina. You want to be careful with this, it is very expensive. What you don't want to do is accidentally double use it and use it twice in a row, because that's 10,000 magicka. Chances are one cast is going to put you up to pretty much full health anyway, unless you know you're not going to get hit again after the first cast and you need stamina. You can double press it, but just be aware of that, be careful. You do also gain minor endurance, minor fortitude. Doesn't matter because we get that from Oaken Soul anyway, so that's, you know, it's useless. And major brutality and sorcery, which again we don't need because we get it from Oaken Soul. Next one, Deafening Roar. Roar with Bloodlust to terrify up to 6 nearby enemies, fearing them for 4 seconds and setting them off balance. This is your stun. This lets you do a lot of damage, because it also applies Major Breach and Minor Maim. Major Breach reduces their physical and spell resistance, making them even squishier, and it reduces their damage done, making you even tankier. And you also get Major Savagery and Major Prophecy, which actually I think you get from Oaken Soul again anyway, don't you? You do indeed, so that's also not needed, but it's still a great skill because you can stun 6 people. What you would do is you would jump in with Brutal Pounce, stun them with this, and then I would hit them with Howl of Agony. Crush an enemy, dealing a deafening howl. This is like your single target damage ability, and enemies who are feared or facing you take 24% more damage from this attack. So what I would usually do is I would Brutal Pounce, I would stun them, I would hit them with this before they can break free whilst they're still feared, and then I would recast Brutal Pounce to get the Brutal Carnage to do the bleed over time. Then I would hit them with Claws of Life, which is another damage over time that deals disease damage and an additional disease damage over 10 seconds, and this one heals you. So this is a nice heal, 111% of the damage over time caused. That's very nice to have. So yeah, usually the way I would run this is I would activate Werewolf, I would run in, make sure I'm in combat, I'd pop a pot for my Clever Alchemist, jump in with Brutal Pounce, stun them with Deafening Roar, hit probably the lowest health one with Howl of Agony, and then Brutal Pounce again, Claws of Life, and then just light and heavy attack until they die. That tends to get most people. So that's it for the skills. I just want to talk about the passive quickly. Devour is very important. If you've never played a werewolf before, this is pretty much how you stay in werewolf form. You can feed on corpses, and every second you spend devouring corpse adds 3 seconds to your duration, and restores 8% of your max health. So whenever you kill somebody, if it's safe to do so, get devouring. You hit your synergy key to devour the corpse. Pursuit, increase your movement speed. That paired with the movement speed pot we're using makes us pretty rapid, and increases the stamina your heavy attacks restore by 50%. Blood Rage, when you deal damage, the duration of your werewolf transformation is increased by 4 seconds. So if you're constantly fighting, if you're constantly in the thick of it, you're going to stay in werewolf form. Savage Strength, increasing your weapon to spell damage by 80%. Gives you a lot. Major Resolve is useless though. We already got it in a console. That lets you bite other players. Blood Moon doesn't really help you much in combat. And Call of the Pack reduces the cost of remaining in your werewolf transformation by 20% for each transformed werewolf or direwolf in your group, including yourself, and up to a maximum of 80%. So because we are running the pack leader, we get 2 direwolves, which is extra 40% time staying as a werewolf. I recommend finding some friends who are also werewolves, grouping up, and you can stay in werewolf form forever. Okay, so that's it for the skills. I could just show you it in action quickly if I can find something to kill. Big old strong werewolf. You know, you leap in, you howl, you hit him with that, and you know, everything's just gonna die super quick. You get huge heals. It's just so fun to play. You can move so fast, you can just tear everybody to pieces. Say werewolves definitely for striking fear into people, especially people who aren't that experienced at PvP. They panic, they run, they die. So let's talk about champ points. A couple of these have changed last patch. I definitely recommend always getting Break Fall in the green tree. Reduce the fall damage by 7% per stage, 35% reduced fall damage. That's the only pretty much useful thing from here. You can get a couple of these that increase the duration of your food, and there's a chance not to use the potion. Blue tree. This is a new one that we like. Increase your damage done against off-balance enemies by 2% per stage. So that's an extra 10% damage done to people that we hit with our Deafening Roar. Not to mention that you get an extra 24% against people who were feared using Howl of Agony. So if you fear somebody and hit them with Howl of Agony, that's an extra 34% damage. Definitely want to explore that. It's very good to have. Ironclad, now this got a little nerf. It used to be 10% total damage reduction. I am still running it at the moment. I haven't had a chance to test out anything else. So far, it does seem to be holding up. Focus Mending, increase your healing done with single target heals. So that's why we get a 24k tick on it. And I've gone with Reaving Blows. When you deal direct damage, you heal for 80% of... Sorry, 80? You heal for 8% of the damage done. There doesn't seem to be any cooldown on that, so you can just... As long as you keep up the pressure, you're going to be healing. And with the amount of max health we have, you're not going to die either. So Red Tree. Boundless Vitality. Guess what? I wanted some health. We're going with Fortified to increase our armor. Pain's Refuge, reduce the damage taken by 2% for every 2 negative effect on you, up to 20%. That's always a great PvP champion point. And Juggernaut, while under the effects of crowd control immunity, you take 1% less damage per stage, 5% damage reduction. Can't go wrong. And there you go, I think we have it. I think that's it for the Werewolf build. It's so much fun to play, you're going to have a blast. Hope you enjoyed. And there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. I can't even begin to explain how much fun this build is to play, so I hope you enjoy it too. Don't forget to leave a like and hit the subscribe button for more ESO content. And be sure to leave a comment if you have any questions or can see any way to make this build even better. Be sure to stop by my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Kylobyte, where I stream 5 to 6 days a week playing ESO with casual gameplay, tutorials, giveaways and loads more. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.